Welcome back, students. Today we are going to discuss an important topic regarding psychology, that is forgetting. Previously, we have discussed its related topic, that was remembering, and need not to repeat those things here, but will repeat in the coming slides. Forgetting, that here uh, Herman Ebbinghaus has written one of the uh, forerunner of this important theory, this important concept in psychology, that is forgetting. So he says that no matter how thoroughly a person may have learned the Greek alphabet, he will never be in a condition to repeat it backwards without further trying. So we will discuss his coming his light upon on the in the light of Ebbinghaus that uh, ho- uh, some theory, some concepts regarding forgetting in the in the coming slides. So let's start. Forgetting. Now, normally forgetting is what? Forgetting is the loss of memory. It's a loss of memory which is called either a failure to encode, or failure to retain the encoded information, or failure to retrieve. So it is the opposite of remembering. When information or data are not retained in the memory, so they are forgetting. Simply, it is normal to an individual, and it uh, depends on your age and other reasons or causes. We tend to forget because of factors. So it varies from person to person, and with respect to the individual, from its state, means state to state, like and different sort of circumstances. He may deal with a different sort of situations which confront to him. So forgetting simply is the loss of memory, is opposite of remembering. So normal an individual forget. So let's see that one of the most important psychologists, Herman Ebbinghaus, was one of the first to scientifically study forgetting. In experiments where it used himself as the subject, Ebbinghaus tested his memory using three-letter nonsense syllables. He relied on such nonsense words because relying on previously known words would have made use of his existing knowledge and association in his memory. So that was the first. He used his experiments on his own. Uh, in order to test for new information, Ebbinghaus tested his memory for the periods of time ranging from 20 minutes to 31 days. So that is a time period from 20 minutes to 31. He then published his finding in 1885, Memory of Contribution. So his results plotted what is known as the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. Forgetting curve. In the coming slide, I will show you the curve which I have practically I have the taught to the students in the class. The curve is much relevant to that particular curve. We will study that in the coming slide. So it revealed a relationship between forgetting and time. Initially, information is often lost very quickly after it is learned. So factors such as the how information was learned, how frequently it was rehearsed play a role in the quickly these memories are lost. So let's see that here you see the forgetting curve here in the lower, like you will see the time and the upper memory recall, and it goes from 0 to 100%. And from here the time or the days have been mentioned, like 1 day, 2 day, second day, third day, four, and then first week, and then second week, first week, so forth and so on. We will move up to the third month. So the information you will see, the memory has been gained and memory has been lost in this about the percentage. So the question is our cardinal question in today's discussion would be the factors or the causes of forgetting. So without wasting, let's start that factors of forgetting. So encoding failure is the first one. Encoding failure, you would not be able to encode the information, like it is the failure of, so it would be a sort of failure of inputting information, the detail or the data or information, uh, how or what are the conditions due to the poor attention. When you have not attended to the information, or you have sort of poor attention to the informations, or you have a lack of concentration on the informations, and ambiguous to catch the informations, or different motives from your noticed area. So if informations are vague, they are easily forgotten. If the informations, here, the encoding failure, you will not attend them fully. So this is inputting failure, means you are getting information in a very poor way, like poor attention. You have no lack of, you have a lack of concentration, or rather the informations are ambiguous, or are vague one. So they, the most of the chances they can be easily forget by you. So the first one is encoding failure. The second, it would be decay of fading of memory traces. So once, normally you have noticed some, you have gained some information from, that been passed from your sensory memory to your short-term memory and then your long memory. But memory trace or changes in the nerve cells of the brain. So learned stimuli gradually decay or fade with the passage of time. With the passage of time, here the time, sorry, time is a factor where you gradually, you lost those cues, those learned stimuli from the environment. They become decay, become fade from your memory. So that is the decay or fading of the memory. If those would be rehearsed, so once again they would be recalled. So that is the second one. Now comes to the third one. So that is the disuse of the learned material. Disuse of the learned material. When, when the learned is no longer rehearsed or repeated. When the information have been not repeated, when those have been not practiced, when those have been no longer rehearsed, so they tend to be forgotten due to the lack of adequate stimulation of these materials. So most of the chances that those learned information can be forgotten easily. So this is called disuse of the learned material. The fourth one would be the repression of emotionally threatening information. Repression, repression of emotionally threatening information, are motivated forgetting. This is what it is, a mental process of refusing to think something. You you sometimes refuse to think upon any of the stimuli, because we find the thoughts, those thoughts, you sometimes find them unpleasant, are not good, are not fine to you. So you try to forget, you try to force them not to think upon them again. So, and sometimes you found them distasteful or very bad uh, for your thought process. So you will never think about those cues. So information which are disappointing one, shameful or painful from the unconscious state of mind, or pushed down into the subconscious state of mind. So again, according to Freud, as you know, that these information have not been forgotten, but they have been stored in you, some we can, the layer of your mind, have been Sigmund Freud here discussed that it is the subconscious level of your mind that you store them there. But there, for the time being, they have been pushed back into your subconscious, and we think that these have been forgotten, and this forgetting is forceful forgetting, repressed thoughts, according to Freud. So repression of emotionally threatening information, motivated forgetting. It is a you try to avoid and to push them into the subconscious control of your thought. Interference of other materials. So sometimes this is another cause, say that the ability to recall the learned material is blocked. It is the ability, your ability to recall the learned material is, you block them or prevented by other materials like old and new learning materials compete with each other such that the ability to retain and remember them are limited. So the space became limited. Old and new learning materials compete with each other. So your new information and your old information, they compete with each other such that the ability to retain and remember them are limited. The space becomes limited. So interference of the material or the information in your to your brain. So again, it would be a sort of input problem. Uh, so so the ability, your ability to recall the learned material became blocked. So this is interference of other material. So interferences are here we see interferences or hurdles are of different kinds. Proactive, proactive interference. It is the process. And let's further see the detail of the interference process or the kinds as a cause of forgetting. Proactive. It is a process in which all learned material interfere with the capacity to retrieve more recent learned materials. So again, it is a process in which old learned materials interferes. Once you think newly, so your your already stored information become a hurdle in the way with the capacity to retrieve more recent learned materials. So they are giving no room for the new information. So there occurs a problem to remember the things, and so proactive means that information which are already you have, and it is the process in which old learned materials have a capacity where they have giving no room to the information to more recent learned materials. So this is kind of interference. In the first one is proactive. The second is retroactive. So it is also a process where the recently learned information makes it difficult to recall the previous information, the old ones. It is the reverse of the previous proactive. Retroactive means the recent information. The recent informations become so hard that it sometimes difficult for you, for anyone, for an individual to recall the already information, old information, stored information. So this is the second one. And now the sixth cause, that is amnesia. Amnesia, it is a temporary loss of memory. Temporarily, loss of memory is temporarily one due to the damage of the brain resulting from the drug use or emotional shock or severe stress. So these three are written as drug use, uh, the habitual of drugs, the emotional shock sometimes confront to the people, or severe stress. That's a sort of anxiety, a severe sort of anxiety or stress upon the people's. Uh, those are the causes by which a patient became lost its memory for a certain period of time. Then that is the temporary loss of memory, and it may be called a disease. So this is the sixth cause or a factor of forgetting. And now another related information, that is the emotional factors. Now coming to the emotional factors which affect forgetting, and these are nowadays, these have a much space and considered as the most superior one. Most psychologically, these have been considered as most important. Uh, Emotional factors which affect the forgetting process and or enhance it. Emotionally charged situations, whether positive or negative, may decrease forgetting. So this is not your personal one, but it depends upon the environment, the externalities or the external ones like the situations where you become emotional or not. So emotionally charged situations, whether positive situation, whether there is a tragedy or there is a sort of any kind of good or positive function like that. So it may it it influence your it influence the degree of forgetting with an individual. It may be increase or decrease. So emotionally situations, charged situations. This is the first one, and it is a purely emotional factor. Negative emotions may second one would be that negative emotions may increase the tendency to forget than the positive or pleasant emotions. Again, negative emotions may increase the tendency to forget then the positive ones are pleasant. So once mostly the individuals who they confront with the negative uh, situations or any passing their life days from those circumstances. So they means normally they mean it's difficult or harsh them to forget those tragic or negative sort of incidents. So emotional one, study and memorize when your emotion is at its best. Study and memorize when your emotion at its best, but do not study when you are not in a good mood or when you are under stress. So this is the advice from the psychologist that once you are in a good mood or you are in anxiety or stress, so don't study. You may not be able to encode the stored information you are attempting to collect. So it means that here those other areas of your hard disk works, uh, and you may not be able to store the information or which you are trying to collect. Similarly, traumatic experiences stored in the unconscious state of mind may either enter your conscious state of mind, affecting memory. So these all are the emotional factors which they affect your forgetting process. Now the question is that how you can improve your memory. This is actually in the lecture is a combination of both the phenomenons of forgetting and memory. But here in the last we will discuss that how you can after forgetting you can improve your memory. Narrowly you have a narrowly if you in the narrow approach you have two questions, but it is a link of the previous discussion of forgetting that how you can improve it. So improving memory, the first one is feedback. Knowledge of the result of an activity performed will give you the opportunity to check if you are learning or if there is a need to further improve your work. So feedback normally, in meetings, the feedback has been required in any sort of administration. Uh, Feedback is required. Your exams, or again, is assessment is a way of checking the feedback. Normally it happens in all kinds of organizations. So it may enhance the show the performance and repeat, and then again in the repetition if there is a deficiency it may be suggested that improve, so it improves the performance. Feedback, this is the, and it improves the memory. Recitation, recite what you have learned to yourself. Silent recitation will make you remember past lessons, but recitation is an important uh, uh, factor, and it's an important strategy or mechanism to revive or to improve your memory. Overlearning, it does not mean doing beyond what has already been learned, because what has already been learned is already learned. It simply means that if you wish not to forget what you have already learned, continue to reviewing it now and then. So overlearning means that you are reviewing your what you have done so far. Now and then, again, it's a kind of practice. So it doesn't mean that going beyond what is already learned, but because what has already been learned is already learned, so it has been stored in your. So it's a simple one. and wish not to forget what you have already learned. So uh, next one is selection, and selection is the fourth one that which can by which can you can improve the memory, an individual can improve its memory. It is difficult to remember all the notes written on your notebook or the information printed on the notes which we have provided you. Hence, you have to place selection marking in your notebooks or your diaries, which you can use to summarize your idea in the lectures. You note down not all the information, but you note down the main ideas or the bullet points in your diaries. Here in this lecture, there are certain bullets, there are certain selected informations uh, by which you can store it in your memory and you can improve it, and the next time you will revise them by practice, the speed practice in the coming one. But here the selection one is that you select not the whole one but you selected areas for the best use of those information and keep them in your memory so it can improve your space practice. This is a strategy of studying in which a relaxation or uh, rest period, 15 to 30 minutes. So space practice. This is a strategy mechanism or your practice, a strategy of studying in which a relaxation or rest. You need a sort of relaxation in between those learning times, like 15 to 30 minutes rest time. So is allotted in between a schedule of studying. So why there is a break in between the school session or the college session or the university sessions or any kind of learning you have witnessed in sort of academies, that there is a sort of there is a time for space for period for the students to get relaxed. So by this also they divide all those learning materials in the space times. So space practice is a fruitful practice to learn more and more material. Understand? Next one is organization. This strategy can be done by organizing your notes or making an outline so that when your ideas are already organized, learning becomes easier, clearer, and faster. So, organizations, so people organize the ideas in their minds, informations in their minds, they organize them. So, this makes their learning process more clear, more faster, more easy for them. So they organize the notes, or sometimes they make the outline. They memorize those outlines, and by that way, they retrieve the information. Next, learning by parts. For simple and short learning material, it is better to learn it first as a whole before proceeding to learn the parts. So first of all, we need to study the things in the whole one. So the process, important strategy being explained by first of all the Gestalt psychologist, who are of the view that the whole is better than the sum of its parts. So it would be much better that once you will study that the phenomena or the information as a whole, and then you make divide them or proceed them to learn those information in the parts for a good understanding, for a good memory. And number eight, serial position. In a long list of items or series of statements, we often remember only the first and the last item. We tend to forget those in the middle. So, serial position is a strategy by which we categorize the things in order to be to remember them for a long time. So we remember only sometimes the first and the last, but forget the middle one. So serial position is a good way to understand, to memorize, and to keep them in for the long time in the memory. Sleep, it's a good habit. You know, sleeping is good for improving your memory, and less than you will forget the most, which you will keep most and most more and more record, and less forget. A good sleep, it can improve your memory. It is a way of relaxing the muscles of, so physical process as well as the mental one. So if you are good physically, your brain is at rest. Another time or another day or in between the day, your muscles of your brain become relaxed, your body will become relaxed, and after having a good sleep, uh, you will it will improve your memory and you will retain more and more information. So sleep is a good strategy or a way. Review all you have learned, all what you have learned. uh, if you will review that, is a way of using the law of exercise or the law of use, would be most relevant to the feedback, but it's a law of exercise or the law of use is a form of practice, and overlearning means that if you will perform all those, so a review will review all those, so it would be more permanent with you. Next, cues. Cues is a process, is a technique where it will create a mental picture of what you are studying or memorizing for easy retrieval. So the peoples have their different kinds of cues methodology. Cues are, while we are learning something, we should think of we should think of ritual cues inherent in the learning material. And here we should try to identify them and link them the parts of the learning material to these cues. So cues will be easier to remember than the larger contents of and the links that are the created between cues and the contents of learning material facilitate us in retrieving the learned materials. So this may increase our memory or improve our memory, sorry, by learning by cues. It's an important technique which has been used. And the next one is a PQRST technique or PQRST method. Uh, for you, you may note down with you that this method was first used by Thomas and Robinson in 1962, and they developed this technique which is practically useful for the students to remember the contents of their textbook, and these are basically the five these are the basically the five important stages of remembering, like the P, Q, R, S, T. Here, this PQRST means P for purview, Q for question, R for read, S for self-recitation, and T for test. And it's a way of understanding and remembering of your lessons in a way, every chapter of the book. So purview, again, this refers to the P for purview refers to the observing the man titles, like you observe the man titles of your book, like the pictures, the titles, and ongoing through the summary of the chapter or section there, and thus forming first an idea of the main content. You will pick the main idea from, have a look on the contents of the pictures of the book, and then key for questions. In this stage, each section of the reading material is put to question form, and an attempt is made to anticipate the kind of information each section is likely to provide. And read. Now reading of the now you will read all those informations. This section reading will provide answers to the questions which we have put previously in the form of Q raised in. So attempt should also be made to write down what one has read in the section. This illustrates the process because writing also involves some vocal practice. While you're writing something, there would be a some vocal process that before writing something, you are reading all those things in your mind. So that is called vocal practice and identification of said it, think before you speak. So the second one is that as self-recitation. This is a kind of rehearsing or obtain information through reading. Recitation within the self-help in deeper processing of the sensory input, it's an important process to memorize it for last. And test means after completion of the review, question read, and self-realization, you test your comprehension and your knowledge about the material. So it's an effective technique. It's a help to organize, to elaborate, and to the retrieval of the reading materials. And it is a deeper level of processing. And in this way, the deeper level of processing becomes possible. 13th 13th is a use of use of foods, some foods, medicines, and some vitamins. Like this is again an external one, apart from other emotional or practiced one. So don't exactly improve memory, but they can induce stimulate the process of learning the material to a certain extent if properly controlled. So the move these play a major enhance your activity, like these things. They have a special role. Mnemonic activities are mnemonic. It is a kind of remembering system or memory aid to improve encoding or retrieval of the cues to enhance recall and decrease forgetting. Mnemonic techniques, normally the use of rhymes. For example, there is a rule of in English spelling that we use I before E in spellings and except C. So like here you will see in believe there is an I before E, and in belief there is I before E in belief. So when there comes in a seed, so we'll see that I comes after in a post E. So especially also in the case of receipt, you will see I after E. So rhyming schemes, mnemonic techniques, they helps us to memorize the certain rules in our mind that when this comes, this, so this happens, so this happens. uh, in English grammar. Rhyming schemes, rhymes, mnemonic techniques. This is a mnemonic technique. Acronym is another important technique by which we memorize it, improve our memory, write the first letter of a long list of items in the numerator, such as the government service and insurance system, GSIS. We will write GSIS, and by which we understand normally that government. So there are a number of other list of all these. So rhymes and acronyms are mnemonic techniques, and the techniques through images and the techniques through organization. Mnemonic using images and mnemonic through using organization. This is mnemonic use through organization. Next, acrostic mnemonic is the use of sentence such that a word begins with the item to be learned. To remember, e.g., BDF of the G clef stop state in the sentence as every good boy does fine. So this is your own kind of acrostic mnemonic use by which you memorize the informations. Next one, the mnemonic using images, that is the method of Lucai. Here, Lucai is a plural of Latin word locus, which means place, or to place, or places. Places are used as memory here, memory pegs, and memorizing a long list of items. Places are used as memory pegs in memorizing a long list of. The best example would be here that suppose if a child is taught, if they associate the word spring, spring with water falling from the tap in the bathroom from the roof during the rainy season, and thus receives the child receives a cue to put spring becomes easier for the brain. So thus, in the method of the to be remembered, objects are arranged in a physical space in the form of visual images, you try to understand to the child that it is for what. So it's a sort of imagery walk. So Lucia is a sort of imagery walk that one is required to make or construct a mental scene or picture that contains familiar objects. Put the items to be remembered in the strategic locations. Then picture uh, we picture normally the scenes in our imagination and items will be remembered will stay among those familiar items in our. So it's an important way normally an individual uh, practiced. Tag method. It's an important one to memorize the information by which we can improve the memory under the heading of mnemonics that a PEG method, a device for memorizing long text, especially in the exact order. It's a way of creating association between a number, word, rhyme, and items to be memorized. PEG method. So thank you, students. I hope you have understand it. Thank you very much.